Hi, everybody. Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And today we're talking about artificial intelligence because AI didn't hesitate to shoot a human. And that's what we're talking about here today. Now, there's a whole lot of context on this because, quite frankly, it's not a robot picking up a gun shooting an actual human, but tinfoil hats on people because this is what's going on. This is a really interesting, amusing article from Christopher Harper of Tom's. But I think it really underscores the need for regulation on artificial intelligence, especially on the military side. That said, there's a lot of things at play here. So here's what happened, and here's why we're having this conversation. Microsoft scientist and University of York researcher Adrian de Winter recently decided to put GPT-4 to the test, running Doom, the first-person shoot 'em game from the 1990s, running Doom without prior training. Now, that's coming from the publication, The Register, out of the UK. Now, the results conclude that GPT-4 can play Doom with some degree of efficacy without prior training, though the setup requires that GPT-4V interface for AI vision and the addition of basically everything that you would need, Python, et cetera, to essentially make the inputs possible for the artificial intelligence to work. It doesn't have eyes, right? It doesn't have hands to run a joystick or work a keyboard. Now, according to the original paper, the GPT-4 AI playing Doom can open doors, it can fight enemies, and it can fire weapons. Basic gameplay functionality, including navigating essentially the levels of Doom, are there. However, the AI, and here's the fun part, has no sense of object permanence to speak of. So as soon as an enemy is off screen, the AI just simply isn't aware of it. This is interestingly enough because I talk about this and actually one of my TED Talks is object permanence. We're born with this. So if you have a newborn baby and you put a ball in front of that baby's face, the ball is there. If you put the ball out of its vision behind it somewhere else, it's gone. It's in the ether. It doesn't simply exist to that baby. That's what the artificial intelligence is doing, right? In the same way that like you might be listening to this or watching this in your house and you might have a car in your garage, your car still exists in the garage, even though you're not visually looking at it. And unless somebody has stolen it, it's still there. And even if somebody does steal it, your car is still your car. It's just being driven off by somebody else. Now, even though the instructions essentially are included for what it should do if an off-screen enemy is causing damage, the model was essentially unable to react to anything outside of its narrow scope, its narrow vision. So, when speaking of his research ethical findings, de Winter said basically, quote, "It's quite worrisome how easy it was for me to build code to get the model to shoot something and for the model to accurately shoot something without actually second guessing the instructions," end quote. And then actually he continued, and I quote again, "So, while this is a very interesting exploration around planning and reasoning and could have applications in automated video game testing, it is quite obvious that this model is not aware of what it's doing. I strongly urge everyone to think about what deployment of these models implies for society and the potential misuse," end quote. And he's not wrong. He's really not. I mean, think about basically state-of-the-art weaponry and weapon technology, and it's getting crazier and crazier every year. And AI is already seeing a massive amount of growth and economic impact absolutely everywhere on the planet where there's technology. I mean, think about it. Way back in the 90s, IBM had their supercomputer Deep Blue that beat Garry Kasparov at chess. Now we've got and that was a huge feat at the time. Now we simply are spinning up a large language model like a GPT-4V solution, and it's running through Doom, and that's just being done by one guy. So imagine what a military could do if they got a hold of this. Now, we're not producing basically Terminators just yet. They don't have the aim or the reasoning on par with like a T-800 or anything like that. Doom, we're pretty much safe like this because very narrow scope in Doom. But that's for now. And for now, the main AI assault that most people are worried about relates to generative AI and its ongoing impact, on things like creativity, industry professionals, not to mention disinformation, all of that. But the fact that GPT-4 did not hesitate to shoot basically people-shaped objects and humans in the game, obviously is still concerning. And so essentially, that's what we're talking about here. Now, also understand that AI, when it's reasoning, is trying to find the best solution for something, regardless of ethics or morality, because that is, quite frankly, a hard thing to train. The ethics of one society may be different than the ethics of another. If you were to take, let's say, a blank artificial intelligence, feed it all issues, let's say, on the climate change problem, and I've mentioned this before, and say, what is the fastest, most effective way to essentially fix the climate? What's it going to say? Kill all humans. If we're all dead, we don't pollute. And if we don't pollute, the earth starts healing. And so those are the things that essentially we have to combat with. But in the hands of a military, that's a huge problem, and regulation aside, understand that while some countries, have scruples, or companies, many don't. And so we're in a brave new world. And so we'll see where this goes. I thought this was interesting, terrifying, amusing, all at the same time. And it's just growing up in the era playing Doom when it first came out, and Doom 2. It'd be amazing to see. And I wouldn't have possibly thought that an artificial intelligence, would be playing alongside me at some point. But here we are. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.